We don't need to spin up a native web application that requires a front-end engineer and a back-end engineer and data engineers to architect this. We can simply spin up a UI in hours, not weeks, with a BI person. My name is Matt Luizzi. I'm the Director of Business Analytics at Whoop, and I've been with the company for 3.5 years. Whoop is the human performance company. It's our mission to unlock human performance by using data that we collect from proprietary hardware to gather biometric information around your cardiovascular system to deliver personalized insights to help you better understand your body and to make better performance changes. My role at Whoop as the head of data is really to allow the business to make decisions driving positive business outcomes, leveraging the data that we have. So really just allowing the business stakeholders to be data-led and make sure that we're driving forward using data instead of intuition.
I'm Brendan Farley, a Senior Solutions Engineer at Snowflake. Happy to be here today to speak on behalf of the partnership that Sigma and Snowflake have with our key customer, Whoop here. So thanks for having me.
So for me, it really came down to being a longtime Snowflake customer. At my previous company before Whoop, I had experience with Snowflake, and when I came to Whoop, it was something that I really wanted to make sure we were invested in, given the success that I had there in the past. So I brought Snowflake into Whoop a little over 2 years ago now, and really just a platform that we've been able to grow with. And as we continued to develop that relationship, they recommended that I looked at Sigma as a future BI tool. So we evaluated the software for probably about a year and went through a proof of value this past summer, and ultimately really liked the functionality and how next generation it was for BI. So we became customers around 4 or 5 months ago.
So I've been at Snowflake about 4 years, and something that I've always noticed and gotten feedback on from our mutual customers is how intertwined the two technologies are. You know, I think that customers are always trying to find the best way that they can utilize their data, you know, whether it be in an application, in a BI tool, something to that extent. And there's just been a lot of good mutual success stories with our customers between Snowflake and Sigma. So I think when Snowflake innovates, Sigma's always innovating too, and our product teams and, you know, just the general partnership that we have as our two companies have done a great job working well together to, again, drive success and value to customers like Whoop.
For us, data applications came natural as we continued to evolve our implementation of Sigma. And initially, we were just looking to do a more modern BI, looker takeout, and just migrate some of our dashboards over. But as myself and the team started to use Sigma, we noticed that the functionality was very much geared toward allowing users to input and interact with data that in a way that just wasn't possible before. So as we started to explore some of this functionality, data applications started kind of popping up naturally, which was a really great evolution and speaks to the product design on Sigma's side. So for us, it allowed us to solve new problems, which is always great, right? When you can identify problems in the organization and leverage the investments that you've already made to solve them. So for us, it's just been an ever-expanding journey, and we keep learning on it. Awesome. The primary tool that we were looking to replace with the migration to Sigma was Looker. We had been Looker customers for a number of years, and it was the incumbent solution when I joined Whoop. And one of the biggest pain points that I had when trying to figure out what the next generation of our platform would look like within analytics was trying to centralize as much logic as possible. So by that, I mean getting all of our metadata to be centralized in tools like dbt and Snowflake, where everything sits on top of it and really ensures consistency and reliability across tools, whether it's Sigma or any of the other types of analytical or experimentation tools that we have sitting on top of Snowflake. You're guaranteed to get the same results along with the same level of metadata because we push that upstream. And with Looker, that was a little bit of a different kind of architecture behind the scenes because of their LookML proprietary language, which required you to do a lot of the business and entity modeling natively in the BI tool. So when looking at Sigma and the integrations that you guys have with partners like dbt and Snowflake, it just really solved that pain point for me and allows me to get more leverage from my team and from my tools.
I think that as a company, or just as a customer, whether it's Snowflake, Sigma, take Whoop for example, you're always trying to get value out to as many different types of personas in an organization as you can with the data that you have available to them. But sometimes that could be through a technical lens, through a non-technical lens. There's so many different roles and so many different types of campaigns that might be going on in the company that you need to be able to drive some analytical value for. And I think application use cases with Sigma and Snowflake are great examples of being able to do that because You could have a no-code UI where that can serve up analytics and workflows to a ton of different personas, or something like Sigma with Python where you can utilize maybe more technical skill sets and still be able to drive value on the same analytical data. Again, with a very tight partnership between our two technologies, from Snowflake from an AI data cloud perspective, and then obviously Sigma from an application and a BI perspective.
The customer support data app that we built with Sigma was really solving a problem that just our customer support agents had to go to several different tools, native SaaS applications that we use. So think of a payments platform, an ERP, a customer support tool for ticketing, and really none of that data talked to each other because it required business systems and software engineers to actually create the integrations that were needed. And one of the things we try to do at Whoop is move extremely fast, and sometimes we don't have time to wait for these heavy lift engineering projects. So one of the benefits of Sigma is that it sits directly on top of Snowflake where all of this data already exists and we have the pipelines in place. So now that we have this data in one place, we could unlock a use case where all of these tools, so our payments, ERP, ticketing system, all the data is already aggregated into one place. We don't need to spin up a native web application that requires a front-end engineer and a back-end engineer and data engineers to architect this. We can simply spin up a UI in hours, not weeks, with a BI person. So for us, what this did was allowed us to really centralize a lot of the workflows, simplifying the customer support agent experience and really accelerating both our internal time because we could solve tickets faster and make a meaningful customer impact as our members were able to be serviced that much faster.
Yeah. I think Matt described it pretty well in that, a key part is just a lower total cost of ownership and needing to focus on the general manageability of what the application might have looked like for customer support in this case. So being able to utilize our two solutions together from a Snowflake and Sigma perspective, I think you'll often find that the end users and those that are managing the workflows can focus on driving value and innovating and not having to maintain a high total cost of ownership to actually worry about needing to, you have a bunch of disparate systems, how do I connect them all? All that's going away in the case of Whoop's use case, but also with many other customers' use cases between using our two solutions. So as far as the implementation goes, using Snowflake as your AI data cloud from a foundational standpoint, and then having Sigma on top of that from an application and a BI standpoint, again, I know I've touched on it earlier, but the two solutions really talk to each other well. Sigma's right on top of Snowflake. You can write back to Snowflake if you so wish to do so. And there's just a lot of unique capabilities that exist between our two tools that you don't see in the entire ecosystem.
I think one of the biggest challenges that a lot of organizations, Whoop included, historically face is how do you take all this valuable information and put it into a usable format that is self-service. So I think data applications is kind of the next evolution of BI, where you're really allowing users to interact with data and get value from it in a way that's more self-service. There was one data application that we built to automate a forecasting model. So for us, this was a simple Excel takeout. While we were able to implement like 5 times more dimensionality and the granularity that we're able to forecast. So instead of thinking of things at a more holistic cohort basis based on when a customer joined, we were now able to segregate that based on what country they were in or what plan type they joined on, and just think of things like that. So it enables us to get more granular, which more granular typically means more accurate, and in our case that was very much the case, as well as faster. So by not waiting on somebody's PC laptop to run a massive Excel workbook, we could just simply scale with Snowflake, which is infinitely scalable. And if we wanted to optimize for performance, it's very easy to do on Snowflake using their telemetry, and you don't even have to touch anything in Sigma. It just automatically goes faster and is more optimized. So that was one that we found to be really, really beneficial for the organization.
Can I actually add to that point? So I'm curious, did you have an issue with version control management or things to that extent in Excel prior?
It did, yeah. So, I mean, with Excel, I think a lot of finance and analytics folks will know you have to save a new version every time, and if you forget to save a version before you make your changes, there's version conflicts. Sure. And with more of the cloud functionality for some of these things, it starts to go away, but Sigma takes it to a whole nother level with 2 different things. There's version control on the workbooks where you can tag different versions as like your board approved forecast or your Q1 forecast, but then there's also the input tables that our users put their changes in. So if the finance team wants to go in and change our acquisition forecast, they would update the input table, and in the Snowflake table that this gets written back to, we can see all the versions of this that exist, no matter if somebody saved that as a tagged version or not. So it really has enabled us to move quickly and confidently.
Yeah, I think how Matt described that, it's pretty lean and quick in nature to be able to do something like that, but that is unique, I would think, between the ways that our two solutions work together. I mean, you would know better, you're the customer, but again, it might sound simple or trivial in nature, but it does add a ton of value and it saves a ton of time.
Yeah, there's not many tools that make it really easy to write back and read from the warehouse concurrently, so Sigma really stands out there. The biggest piece of advice is really to just not think within the confines of what has been possible historically, but really try to identify problems in your organization and think about how you can use data to solve those. And oftentimes an application is the correct workflow. So like I was saying earlier, dashboards are great for quickly delivering information, but a lot of times people are looking to interact with that and help take action on it. And I think as we talk about a world where AI is becoming more prominent and agents are all the rage, there's a step in the middle where data applications can fit in nicely and also leverage AI. By that I mean taking data, processing it in some way, transforming it, and then being able to send it downstream or to deliver business value on it. I think for me, what it comes down to is just try to identify different problems and try to solve those in a novel way.
Matt touched on AI. I'm very curious and interested to see how we continue to innovate together to add AI to both of our solutions and then make it in such a way that our customers can find value in utilizing AI. That obviously, it's all the rage in the market today and will probably continue to be. It's here now, it's not going anywhere. I think that's a core piece, but also just how we continue to find ways to speed up solutions together. So that could be Snowflake running more effectively or quickly, scaling faster, et cetera. Sigma scaling out their new different reporting types and adding new flexibility to the types of reports customers can build in a data application and how that will continue to evolve. Our two companies already do a lot of great things together, so I'm excited for that to continue to build. For so long, you're focused on just the foundation of data and how do I drive analytical value of that data to my customers. Now so much of that is in no-code UIs like building applications in Sigma, integrating AI, et cetera. That's going to be a pretty exciting next step in the general evolution of both of our solutions.
One of the things that I think both Sigma and Snowflake do really well is continually push the envelope in the sense of what is possible, while also being there as partners as you onboard to a new solution. For me, just joining Sigma, obviously you guys are creating like this next-gen BI with data applications and leaning into AI, but for someone coming from Looker fairly recently, the spreadsheet style interface and more of your foundational features are novel to me. I think you guys do a really good job of continually pushing the envelope, but keeping really true to your core tenets as a company and allowing customers to go on that journey with you. I find that fits really well with Snowflake's account management practices where they're going to help you with the data warehouse, but that's just a means to get more data in where you can then leverage it for revenue driving or cost reducing activities where AI will become a huge asset. I really like how cohesive the two companies are and partners are to us in that sense, and being able to continue to partner with you guys, whether it be through product feedback or continual developments, is what excites me the most with both Sigma and Snowflake.
Just excited to see what Whoop has done with Snowflake and Sigma, and excited to see where that continues to go and how both of our companies continue to innovate. I think that use cases like we see with data applications are on the cutting edge of what a lot of customers are actually doing today. So I think these guys are a great case study in terms of, what does a successful data application style use case look like with Snowflake and Sigma working together? And then how do we continue to build off of that? If nothing else, it's going to be an exciting year to see where both of our companies go and then see how we can continue to drive value to our customers.
Just really excited to continue the partnership, and have had such a great experience so far working with Sigma in a few months and Snowflake for a few years. So really excited to see where you guys push things ahead in the future.